right, welcome back to the podcast where we're talking about Star Wars related crap like Andor, where they can't say schedule, they say it like schedule. That's wrong. I don't care if English is where our crap originally comes from. The Texan lazy way is correct. Schedule. Get it right. Terrible show. Don't watch it. They say schedule wrong. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm good. Kind of like when you're watching Austin Powers and he's like, Faja. But yeah, you know.
They say it wrong. It's just incorrect.
But it's kind of cool that, there's a bunch of British and Nazis in, space,
Well, British people can act better than us. Like, it's proven by Benedict Cumberbatch and, like, all of that. And, like, Tom Holland, who plays one of the most American, like, heroes of all time, freaking British in real life. Like, Spider-Man comes around like, oi, what? In interviews. Like, oh, crap, I forgot.
And Superman's British, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he's British, too. He's the most American superhero of all time.
And then when you get into Yellowstone, our beloved cowboys,
Well, Kevin Costner's not British.
No,
we got
but
that
his
guy.
daughter in that show is
That's
British.
true. She's probably the best actress in that show, though.
Yeah, so pretty interesting.
She was also in my favorite movie, Pride and Prejudice. She played the worst in that movie. And now she also plays the worst in this show, but both ways, like, the best kind of worst.
Comes back next week.
Subscribe if you can to the YouTube channel. If you are watching on Spotify, go ahead and download our podcast for free on Spotify. And that's pretty much all the crap that we have. And this is Steve. This is my partner, Steve, not Tim. I don't like Tim much. I like Steve a little more. He listens to my thoughts. He's my therapist when I need him to be. All right, let's talk about Star Wars crap, including Star Wars Andor. I like the show. I don't have any strong opinions for it, though. I gotta say, I don't have any As the original trilogy goes, and especially like the prequels, Revenge of the Sith, I have very strong opinions about those movies, and I will go to war for my opinions. For this show, it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's a good show. I don't have any strong opinions. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought about this because I watch it every week, and then I kind of figured out why I watch it every week, and I like it, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's because every week I'm thinking maybe a lot of other fans we're thinking, is this the week that we finally get to see, the whole Rebel Alliance and everything to come together, and know what I mean? Like, and then it just seems like, no, we'll wait another week.
No.
And, and it's kind of neat seeing Mon Mothma and Mon Mothma, however you say her name.
Yeah, I think you got it right. Mon Mothma.
And, Cassian Andor, and you see them. And so, and every week when they're talking in the Senate real quick, I'm like, oh, Palpatine's going to come out. And it's like, come on, at least give me Palpatine if you're not going to, do something.
We know he's there. You
show
say
Vader
his name.
walk by or something, or I don't know.
Gives Mothma a handshake, like walking in, hello, and shakes her hand. Just randomly walks away like, oh, okay, that was Vader. Sweet.
But I just find that, they're meeting in the Senate all this time, the senators, but yet, I mean, does Palpatine only show up for the big stuff? Or
I guess so, because clearly there's stuff that is not important to him, which makes me wonder what he's doing in the background.
He's probably chilling with a bunch of Twi'leks,
Probably. All the Emperor does in his spare time is just hang out in his little jacuzzi in his office. That's portable.
Yeah.
And then in comes a bunch of aliens. By the way, this episode of the podcast is not sponsored by Chick-fil-A. I just got this, and don't sue me, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, but I'm sure they wouldn't.
No, I think it would be nice. I know that the original writer of this, who did write the Bourne series, and you can definitely see a lot of influence with that. I know he specifically said that he did not want to go for fan service. He wanted to do his own thing, which I don't think that those things are necessarily the same thing. I think you can incorporate people into the story and it not be fan service. For instance, the Emperor. I don't think that's fan service because he exists in the same world. And it is kind of weird, the fact that so many people are saying his name and mentioning him. Like, I talked to Palpatine last night, but you don't really see him. And everyone knows who they're talking about. Like, we know who the Emperor is. We know what he looks like. Just show him. It's fine. You don't have to.
Exactly.
You don't have to be scared of showing it. Like, we don't want to be fan service. We want to be our own thing. Like, those things aren't mutually exclusive. You can still show this character.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would just love to see something like that. So do you think that if we didn't know who Cassian Andor was, right? Let's say Rogue One never came out, right?
Yeah.
Exact same show. We didn't know who Cassian Andor was going. Even Mon Mothma showed up. Do you think people would be as much invested if the show was the same? I think we just kind of watch it because we know where it's going.
No, I don't think so, because I didn't really have any hype for this show to begin with. And really watching it now, like, again, I don't have any strong opinions for the show right now. Still like it. But going in, like, I savored from watching the show for a while because I didn't really have any strong interest to see it. And especially due to the fact that Rogue One did come out and was as popular as it was. But definitely everyone's favorite character probably wasn't Cassian. I would say probably not. I would say probably if that movie didn't come out, I don't think this show would have gotten the attention it did. And it's still a good show, and I do like Cassian in the show. I think there's some qualities in him that kind of remind me of Aladdin a little bit, like this boy ruggishness that he has with him, and the fact that he's not necessarily the most moral character in the world. He doesn't mind killing people.
Oh, no, yeah.
And he's fine with getting his hands dirty. Yeah, we saw that in Rogue One, and I was a little worried going in that they were going to Disney-fy him because he is such a brutal character in Rogue One. He's just a mission first, everything else doesn't matter character. And once they're making a series, like, are they going to make Disney-fy him and just say, oh, that happens later on, but he's a good guy now, kind of like Han Solo. They did in Han Solo. But no, he kills people. Like, the first thing he does is kill people. And no, like, you're dead. And he continues on through that, like, oh, good job, Disney. You kept that. Good job. Consistency. That's a new thing.
I did like seeing Saw Gerrera, younger Saw Gerrera, who's not even the breathing.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that episode yet. I'm not going to lie. I haven't finished the series.
No, he doesn't come up.
No, I know he comes in. It doesn't matter. No. I'm on episode 7. Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, no, he doesn't show up. No.
Yeah.
But
no, I know he's in it. I don't.
I do like seeing Supreme Leader Snoke. He's in it.
Cool.
Have you gotten to that yet?
No, Andy Serkis is in it. I know that he's in it. Yeah. I saw an image online and like the new episode of Andor is yada yada yada, and then I saw a picture of Andy Serkis like, oh, my man Caesar. Yes, yeah. I was so happy. I'm so excited to see him in it. Yeah, well, Gollum. Yeah, well, I guess he's more famous for Gollum, but I love him as Caesar.
But he is
too.
Caesar. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love I
don't know if I'm digging his character though.
You don't like his character
in Andor?
Dang it! I wish I got onto it.
But I could be wrong.
Okay.
It's not bad. It's not a bad character. It's just, Andy Serkis, is a great actor and he can pretty much do anything. But
oh yeah,
but
he can. He played a monkey and a tiny crack addict guy from Middle Earth, and then he plays the normal roles. Yeah. Except in King Kong, where he got eaten by a giant slug.
I think that, Cassian Andor can get away with the way it's going for this season, end with something big. But I don't think they can do second and third and fourth seasons this slow. I think people would.
No, for sure.
I think people would, to me, it's like I'm watching a soap opera. Remember when you were
really?
sick? Remember when you were sick as a kid and you would try to watch soap operas and it was just a bunch of drama and... you're sick, staying home from school. There's nothing to watch, and then with soap operas, and you turn it on.
Little kids watching a soap opera.
Yeah, and then you're just sitting there, and it's like, this. It's just a bunch of drama of this person talking this one, and that's what I feel like on Andor. Not as bad, but
I feel like you're like one of those kids that starts watching a soap opera with his mom. Like, this is stupid. Like by day 4 of watching soap opera, you're like super into it and crying with the characters. Like, oh, she broke up with Jenny. No way. No,
but it's okay.
I do think that I don't know. Personal opinion. I think everything is, and this might also be like extend to my opinion of House of Dragon, which is a great series and everyone should watch it. It's probably the best show of the year so far. House of Dragon, watch it.
I would agree.
Yeah, House of Dragon. I think everyone's a little too serious, and I do think there needs to be some variety in behavior, if that makes sense. Because all the characters are super stoic, and I get that from Cassian. Cassian needs to be like very serious character, and I guess he has his goofy moments, but he seems to be the character with the most personality, and I like that. He's the main character. He's the character I latch onto the most, but at the same time, everyone's just too stoic and too serious. And I get this is a serious situation, but for the love of Mike, like, tell a joke one time. Like, you're in a stressful situation. In stressful situations, I tend to be like, poke fun at people just to lighten the mood. It's like, everyone's too serious. Lighten the mood a little bit. It's like I commented on this last time about the seriousness of House of Dragon, and then there weren't enough characters like Tyrion in the original Game of Thrones, or freaking Tywin Lannister, or Jaime, and like all those characters that were able to be witty in dire certain circumstances. There weren't enough of those kinds of characters. Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of what that show needs a little bit.
I'm on season 2 of Game of Thrones, finally watching it. I know it's crazy, but Yes, and Tyrion is definitely one of my favorites because of his.
He will remain.
Yeah, which is awesome. But Andor's good. It's okay. I think the trailers made it look a little better than it is, but Disney trailers are always good. I mean, heck, I thought Last Jedi trailer was the best thing I ever saw.
Oh my gosh,
in my life.
yeah. Remember those walkers like coming up like dun,
Yeah, the
dun,
gorilla walk,
dun,
whatever.
dun, 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 that music,
Yeah.
and hearing Luke Skywalker, like, this is going to be great, like, freaking, like,
Yeah.
and then it sucked balls, like, ah.
Yeah, so Disney always does a great, or not Disney, but there's Star Wars trailers can always look good.
Yeah.
So Andor like that. Now, what I'm really looking forward to, this will hold me over till Ahsoka and Mandalorian season 3. So,
Oh, yeah.
that's coming in February supposedly. So,
Freaking, I wish they would launch an Ahsoka trailer already because we've already seen, like, I'm sure all the Star Wars fans have already seen the leaked material for the Ahsoka trailer, so we all know it's out there. They did release the Mandalorian season 3 trailer, so that's fine, and I am very excited for that one. I'm more excited for that than Andor. And again, like, I don't want to like make it sound like I don't like Andor. I do like it, and I really do like the meticulous detail that this series really goes into, and the production value. The production value is like, it makes Kenobi look like it had $2 to its budget. Seriously, it makes Kenobi look so cheap in comparison. All the construction, the set design,
and
all that's
Kenobi
great.
should have been an easy one to knock out of the park.
Yeah,
I mean, you really, oh my goodness, that should have just been a movie.
all these were movies. Like they had I think that there was a Kenobi movie, and then there was a Boba Fett movie, but they made those into series. Boba Fett in particular was supposed to be just a movie, and they made that into a series that sucked balls.
Speaking of Aladdin, I believe the guy who played Aladdin in the live action is playing Ezra Bridger.
He is.
Ahsoka.
I did hear that. That's actually perfect casting. I think he looks pretty much. He looks just like Ezra Miller.
He does. Yeah. So, and I believe you're going to get Grand Admiral Thrawn. So, if done right, and it's done by Dave Filoni, his baby, so
Frickin'
he
please.
should do it right. But
I mean, if anything is very evident that Dave Filoni does his job very well, it's the Tales of the Jedi stuff that we got to see.
Oh yeah.
Do you want to switch to talk about Tales of the Jedi, or do you want to have any more with Andor?
No, I'm pretty done with Andor.
There's nothing else to talk about. I mean, like, again, I do like Andor. I think it's a fun show to watch, especially if you're watching House of Dragon and you need another show that's a slow build and it's kind of more about world building and the tension with the characters rather than like the big explosions and war, then Andor is probably a good substitute if you want more House of Dragon. Or just watch Game of Thrones. All the way up until season 6.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
House of Dragon made me mad though that I have to wait till 2024.
You got to be careful with House of Dragon and watching Game of Thrones immediately after because there are some spoilers for House of Dragon. Because House of Dragon is the history of Game of Thrones. And if you watch Game of Thrones, there's going to be some spoilers into how House of Dragons ends.
Oh.
Yes. And specifically from Stannis' daughter. If you don't know her yet, you will. And Joffrey. There are some scenes with Joffrey where he explains the ending of House of Dragon. And
I might not be smart enough to catch it.
That's fine.
Half the time I am lost in Game of Thrones, and I have to put it on pause and ask my wife or my daughter what is going on, because they've seen it 3 or 4 times and they know everything. So they'll say, oh, this. And then I'll say, oh, okay, that makes sense. So more than likely, Joffrey's going to talk, and it's going to go over my head, because I just can't stand him. I just picture myself just punching the crap out of him.
Oh, you're going to hate him as it continues on. There is justice. I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to explain further.
I've seen the clip. I know what happens.
Oh, okay. You've seen the Purple Wedding where he dies?
Yeah, my wife and daughter tell me, because I say, I just can't stand him. I hate him. They go, oh, he is not the worst, that there's another character coming that is worse than Jeffrey. Mm-hmm. Joffrey.
Do you want me to spoil the name? I know what they're talking about.
No, but I think I know who. I think I've seen him before, but like in a clip or something.
I don't know if he's in season 2. He's not in season 1 for sure.
But they say someone's coming.
He's so much worse. I
can't picture that, but Joffrey's such a.
There's justice to all those characters in this series, and it's so glorious. But man, it's a long time coming.
Excuse my language, you can bleep it out, but what a.
Joffrey? Yeah, he's the worst.
Like, I just want to slap him so I can hear him go,
Like, oh my God. Tyrion slapping him is my favorite thing ever. Did you get to the part where Joffrey was being carried into the streets and people are like throwing rocks at him.
Oh yeah, and they tried to rape Sansa.
Yeah, when he pulls Joffrey in and starts like, when Tyrion starts like shouting at Joffrey, like, you can't talk like that to a king, and he slaps him. And he's like, and now I've struck a king. Did my hand fall from my wrist? So awesome.
And he's like, your horses eat better than them. And,
yeah.
And
they're angry at you, dude. Of course they're going to be throwing rocks at you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Back to Tales of the Jedi.
Yes.
I loved it. I love mostly the Qui-Gon, Count Dooku stories.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I do like the Anakin, I do like the Ahsoka stuff. But we've had so much that we don't know much about the of a young Count Dooku and a young Qui-Gon.
Yeah, we haven't seen that stuff before. There's always that like side of me that was worried about seeing more of Ahsoka, like in her origin story. There was a lot of mystery of this character that was going to get shoved to the forefront that I didn't want to see. But even that stuff was really good. But I do agree the stuff that I really wanted to see was the Count Dooku stuff. What do you think about that and his relationship with his Padawan, Liam Neeson?
Yeah. It was really good. It's kind of interesting seeing the dark side kind of come out of him. I wish they would have explored that in the prequels a little more. I wish they would have had him like in the Phantom Menace just a little bit. Just show up. Like he doesn't even have to, you know what I mean? And maybe, a little, maybe have him talking to Qui-Gon a little bit in the Phantom Menace, like kind of siding with them a little bit. But that pushes. But the one that I thought like, wow, they're really going to do this is, it was always a mystery in the canon or whatever, whether it's George Lucas, of what happened to Yaddle.
Yeah.
It was never like what, supposedly she disappeared during before the Clone Wars or something, or whatever. And right when I saw her spying, on him, I'm like, oh, they're really they're going to say what happened to her. And obviously this is not going to end well.
No.
And she was pretty powerful.
She was. She stood a really good chance.
Yeah, it's just, she's, I don't know. But I felt kind of like I liked it, but I felt kind of bad for that because I like the mystery of what happened to Yaddle,
She was a non-character for a while. Like a lot of those Jedis in the Jedi Council were non-characters to me because I never knew any of their personalities. Now, thankfully for the Clone Wars, I got to see more Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, like all those people. I got to form an attachment for them from the Clone Wars. And I like that they did make Yaddle a character in this. And they showed why she wasn't in Attack of the Clones, because you see that she's in there in Phantom Menace and she's not in Attack of the Clones. And she's not in Revenge of the Sith. And you're like, where was this Yoda-looking character? And like, oh, I see where she is now. And I know that there's a comic book reason for why she died, but I like this one better.
Yeah. They should have had Yarl Poof go there and then, just grab him by his neck,
I like to believe the Robot Chicken version of Yarl Poof.
Oh, where he's the cook?
Yeah, he walks in grabbing the pizzas for the Jedi Council because no one gives a crap about his opinion. Yeah. And then he's like, everyone's dead. Oh, no, I better be quick. And he walks up and like sits in Master Yoda's chair and mocks him like, Master Yoda I am.
Yeah.
Dumb I talk.
But real quick, did you know Yaddle supposedly in the Legends or the whatever she knew a special power that actually was forbidden by the Jedi. I forget exactly, and probably some Star Wars fans are listening right now screaming.
Yeah, what was the...
But it was something where she can cause all the molecules in someone's body or the atoms or whatever, like just stop or freeze and can kill somebody. It was something
just
weird.
Instant death?
Yeah, just like a weird thing like that was forbidden. That was known by her.
Huh.
I'm not quite sure, but hold on.
That kind of sounds like blood bending in Avatar: The Last Airbender.
So it says it's Mora Crow. Force power is nearly ever wielded in Star Wars canon by Jedi Master Yaddle.
Seems that might have helped in the fight against Dooku.
A Jedi armed with this art can pause their opponent, shutting off their body against their will. The target might realize that their breath slowing, unable to panic. Their blood would turn sluggish, and their thoughts would freeze.
Isn't that kind of what Kylo Ren does in The Force Awakens to his Like, he stops Rey from moving at all. Isn't that kind of what he does?
It might be.
It's like force freeze or something. Like,
no,
whatever.
but this one seems to like really like cause him to go nuts or something.
Because she's when he freezes Rey in The Force Awakens, like they still obviously have conscious thought, but they're just frozen.
Yeah.
So maybe that's different.
Remember when The Force Awakens made you think at the very beginning that Kylo Ren was like so ultimate powerful and could stop a blaster and
Yeah, that was fun.
do all that stuff, and then at the end somehow Rey beats him?
That was well. Yeah.
Well, he was shot. I'm joking.
I used to, and I still kind of defend that because, he was shot, but at the same time, I thought there was going to be a reason for Rey, like, being so powerful all of a sudden for no reason. There wasn't really a good reason.
She's Palpatine's dog.
Yeah, she's Palpatine. Yeah, so was Luke's. He had to get trained.
I know.
Who won the fight in Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker? Darth Vader, because it doesn't make sense for Luke to win.
Nope, and he beat Obi-Wan. But, yeah. Oh, yeah. So Tales of the Jedi, that was probably like the best part that I liked.
Yeah.
Do you think, maybe it's just me, I mean, I love all colors of lightsabers, but doesn't blue seem not to fit Count Dooku too much? Like, doesn't it seem like Count Dooku would have like a green or maybe like even maybe a purple or something, but like blue just doesn't seem like, because Count Dooku seems to me like, well, he is a great swordsman, but he also seems like someone who's very powerful in using the Force like Yoda. So I can see why maybe it's blue, but
if anything, purple makes more sense.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, he's kind of like in the middle.
Yeah, going to it's something that Mace Windu specifically has because he has that technique, that Vapod, that he uses against dark force wielders, and also kind of is dark side energy at the same time. So he's kind of bending the lines between light and dark side. So that makes sense for him. It almost makes sense for Dooku too, because he's always like struggling with that fact, but maybe not. He's more emotionally struggling with it, and Mace Windu has that under control. I think blue kind of does make sense with him, to be honest with you, because I think green represents peace and tranquility. Is that correct?
Green is where it's, if you're more of like well, all Jedis have lightsabers pretty much mostly and can fight with a lightsaber. But the ones that are blue are more people that are really skilled with more like sword combat, where the green rely more on the Force thing. So that's why when you see Yoda, he does have a lightsaber and he can fight really well, but he's more powerful within the Force of using Force techniques. Yeah. Same thing with Qui-Gon, same thing with Luke later on, right?
In that case, that does make sense because Dooku was always a duelist. And you know that like his lightsaber is built in a very specific way where he can... It's a duelist lightsaber, and it's not good for multiple opponents like blaster fire, but he is like one of the best duelists out there, next to like Grandmaster Yoda and Mace Windu.
That's true. Okay, so I take it back. And that's why you see Anakin and Obi-Wan with blue lightsabers, because they were really good swordsmen.
Yeah.
And stuff. So and then you get into the other colors, like you know why purple.
Yeah. Sith is our speciality. Gets knocked out in both fights.
Yeah. It's our specialty.
Specialty. I have only beaten one Sith, to be honest with you. I've killed, and I didn't even kill him the first time.
Yeah,
I cut him in half. Freaking lightsabers don't do anything. You can't. Death means nothing in Star Wars.
He should have came back.
All the Sith come back.
No, I mean, I'm saying that Maul should have came back in the prequels.
Prequel. Yeah. Well. Yeah. But they did bring him back in the Clone Wars.
Yeah,
and that was a great story.
I get it. Yeah.
It makes me wonder if Darth Maul and Anakin ever did meet. I wonder who would win, like Clone Wars Anakin and Clone Wars Maul. Like, who would win that fight?
Anakin easily. Remember when one of my favorite lines in the last season of Clone Wars that came out with Ahsoka? Yeah. Remember she's fighting Maul, and Maul's looking for Anakin?
Yeah.
And she's like, you're lucky Anakin didn't show up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have lasted hardly anything the way you're fighting.
Ahsoka hit hard. Like, she was awesome.
But you know what? So going back to Tales of Jedi, I like the fact, I feel that the training that it showed Anakin putting her through explains why she's so powerful.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he took her, it's kind of like it reminded me of, and I'm not dogging on traditional martial arts, and I hope your dad doesn't get mad at this analogy.
He's fine.
Okay, so, because I'm sure your dad could wipe the floor with me and beat me up. But what I'm saying is that, like, you have people that do martial arts, traditional martial arts, right? And then, a lot of the training is like, okay, we're going to practice this move, and I want you to hit me like this, exactly like this, and then I'm going to come in and block like this, and then do this. And to me, it's like a false sense of real combat. You know what I mean?
Not what the real
sit
world
here
would
in
be
this
like.
horse stance and do this, and it's like this training that really doesn't work in the real world. And that's kind of what Anakin's saying, you're doing this training, but it's not really what it's like in the real world.
100%.
That's why I'm sticking you in what's really in the real world.
Clones.
Yeah, clones, and also shooting at you really, although it's stun, and over again, and she lasts 2 seconds, where she could have lasted probably for a long time, going against the robots that are, she can kind of memorize or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why when I saw that, I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense why she is just a little bit above the average Jedi.
Yeah.
It's because Anakin pushed her. Anakin knew what it took to survive in real conflicts. Anakin's out there fighting in the Clone Wars. He's fighting, all kinds. He, got his arm chopped off by Dooku. So he knows that this stuff that you're training in the Jedi Temple at a young age, it's okay to help with maybe form or something, but it's not going to work
for sure
in a real world.
And you got to see Anakin be that master, because I remembering a lot of the Clone Wars. I remember a lot of times where Anakin and Ahsoka were working together, but I don't remember seeing a lot of Anakin actually train Ahsoka.
Yeah.
And this was a wonderful example to see Anakin actually be the teacher to Ahsoka. And it shows, and I agree with you 100%. It shows you how powerful Ahsoka is, but why she's so powerful.
Yeah.
And it really helps when, in the later episode, when the Sith Inquisitor comes after her, how easily she kills him. It makes sense because of how much she knows and how powerful she really is. And it's not a Mary Sue moment where she's just, girl boss moment, like girl power. Like, it's not even that moment. We know how powerful she is.
Like Rey. Rey.
Yeah. Freaking Rey. Like be Kylo Ren. Why? Because she's freaking powerful.
Girl power.
Girl power. The Force is female.
Because Kathleen Kennedy said so.
Because Kathleen Kennedy said so. Why did you be? Because Kathleen Kennedy said so. Yeah, but again, we got to see where she was before and how she got there, and that made us 100% believe, oh yeah, this Inquisitor's dead. He stands no chance against, and especially in Rebels when we got to see those two Inquisitors go against Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka just at one point sheath her lightsabers and just flick you away like it's nothing. Ahsoka's on another level for a reason.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
we got to see her development. It's great.
Oh, for sure. And definitely one of my top favorites.
Yeah.
As far as overall, not better than Vader or Anakin, but
who do you think is the most powerful Sith or Jedi? And who's your favorite?
Ever in the timeline?
Yeah, tell me who do you think is the most powerful out of all the Sith and the Jedi, and tell me who is your favorite Sith or Jedi.
As far as most powerful Jedi, you have to say Luke. I believe it's Luke.
Legends Luke.
Legends Luke. Grandmaster Luke.
Yeah.
So as far as him, that, and as far as powerful Sith, I would have to say Palpatine. Look at what he was able to do, and what I mean by also powerful.
I think you're forgetting somebody.
Revan.
Revan.
Yeah, I was going to say Revan. But I put Palpatine up there because of how smart and patient he was.
That's true. He has that.
And so if you're talking about raw, then maybe Revan. But if you're talking about overall, just smart and just also powerful, Palpatine took over the whole galaxy and ruled it. I mean, he did what every Sith has been trying to do for, forever. So, but yeah, I would love to see a Revan, movie or Darth Bane.
Would you like to see a Plagueis cartoon in the style of the Clone Wars with the Emperor Palpatine?
No, I want to see a live-action Plagueis with a young Matt Smith playing Palpatine from House of Dragon.
Oh, you have just introduced the greatest thing ever. I didn't even consider that. That's actually perfect casting. What the
because
frick?
He was supposed to be in Rise of Skywalker as a young Palpatine.
Oh my gosh.
Matt Smith, supposedly there was scenes with him as a young Palpatine, and they kept asking him, he says, no, I'm not in it. But then people were saying, yes, he is. And Matt Smith was supposed to play Palpatine.
And there was supposed to be a, discard Snoke, played by freaking whatever his name was. I don't remember his name.
Oh, really?
There's no context. Yeah, there's supposed to be a discard Snoke. We were supposed to see that. Again, would have been great. Rise of Skywalker could have been great. Rise of Skywalker sucks.
Yeah.
So much.
Well, Colin Trevorrow's would have been better, but yeah, can you imagine a young Matt Smith playing, especially after seeing House of Dragon? I didn't even realize that was Matt Smith because I didn't.
Oh my gosh!
Because I didn't watch I didn't watch Doctor Who or any of that.
No, I don't give a crap about Doctor Who.
So I'm watching it, and then I would say towards the end, I'm like, to my wife, I go, "That's Matt Smith." I go, "He was supposed to play Palpatine." My wife doesn't know who that is. She's like, "Oh, okay,"
Yeah.
But imagine him playing that and then having a young Pelagus. I mean, an older Pelagus, but a young Palpatine being trained.
We'll never get it, though. We'll never get it.
No.
We might get a series. We could get a series. Never get a movie. There is a new Star Wars movie in the making. Do you think it's kind of funny that Matt Smith, who played Doctor Who, probably in the cultural sense, like a very, unsexy character, and then she plays for all intents and purposes, an Alabama yeehaw who married his niece, and who's a psychopath, but all of the women of the world are simping for. Freaking everyone is like, oh, Matt Smith. It's like, he's banging his niece, right? It's kind of rough.
Yeah.
But he is a cool character, though. In the context of Game of Thrones,
normal. I guess that's just okay.
It is
to keep the bloodline in there.
It's not okay.
Not okay in our life. We're talking about Game of Thrones.
In Game of Thrones, yes, because
House of Dragon.
The Targaryen bloodline, that is how they keep their bloodline pure. They keep it in the family, quite literally.
I mean, literally, it had to have been that way at some point in life. I mean, Adam and Eve didn't have. Their kids had to have married each other.
Well, that's actually a debate in the Bible because there is a lot of when Abel was banished, he was banished to a civilization. Where that civilization come from? Now, you could say that it could be a later on civilization born from Adam and Eve making more kids, or you can say that civilization already existed, but Adam and Eve were the first people.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a whole different,
That's a whole different conversation.
But okay. And I remember the first time I saw that first episode, because I've watched the first episode of Game of Thrones many times when I tried to get in it. The first time I watched it, I had a hard time following it, and I see at the very end when the kid gets pushed.
Yep.
And I'm like, I thought they were brother and sister.
Yeah.
and then I realized they were, and then I called, Glenn, our friend Glenn, and I'm like, did I just see what I thought I saw?
Yeah,
and
he
he goes,
did.
yes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And see, that shows you how desensitized Hollywood does, is that now when you see that type of thing in Game of Thrones or House of Dragon, it's just like, oh, okay, whatever.
But yeah, I mean, even in Game of Thrones, with your sister, initial reaction is like, oh, stop. Oh, stop. Oh, that's gross. But it doesn't get better. That.
Oh, okay.
It's funny, though, that Game of Thrones does this way better than any show I've seen. It takes characters like Jaime, because you've only seen the first season. You will love Jaime later on.
I heard that you start liking Jaime.
Yes, you do.
Because right now I don't like Jaime.
There are tons of characters in the first season and even onwards
that
they start despicable, and then you love them later on. And
okay.
Weird. Theon Greyjoy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Well, I'm starting
later
to like,
on.
I don't like him now at the moment.
You won't, and for a while you won't.
Okay.
But give it a minute. That actually Well, I won't spoil that. Never mind.
When I hear those names like Greyjoy and all that, it just reminds me of Lord of the Rings, like Green of Wormtongue. And
yeah, I mean, Lord of the Rings inspired Game of Thrones.
Did it really? I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go back real quick. I'll tell you who I do like of Game of Thrones. I do like Tyrion. I like Daenerys Khaleesi.
Yeah, Daenerys is great.
She's pretty badass. I like the girl that's kind of barbaric who's taking care of the crippled son.
She's cool. Yeah.
I mean, she's kind of cool.
No, she's pretty cool. She remains pretty consistent throughout.
I want to know who the freak that red woman is with some kind of shadow thing giving birth to some shadow thing. I'm like, what the heck is that?
Yeah, she killed somebody with that.
Yeah, she killed that, but...
she's the worst. I hate her. But she's cool. She's a good character. I hate her so much. I hate her.
Okay.
I want her to die. Good character.
Oh,
Hate her.
I'll tell you who I love.
Brienne of Tarth?
I do like her.
Okay.
And my daughter's name is Brianna, so I'm always saying
Oh.
Brianna of Tarth.
There we go.
But I love Arya.
Oh, Arya's great
Yeah.
up until the 6th season. She's freaking
Oh, okay.
Well,
Don't tell me. Don't say because I don't know. But
again, a lot of this is coming from my own opinion. I guess I don't really tend to, but there's a few things that I disagree with the normal general Game of Thrones fan base. There are some characters that dip in quality for me that don't dip in quality for others. You have to watch for yourself because you may disagree with me. But Arya is freaking awesome, and she has some great moments, some freaking glorious moments.
yeah, like the slave girl for the king, and he doesn't know she's a Stark.
Yeah. Oh, she's
the
Tywin
Lannister dad, and I'm just like waiting for her to run up and stab him or something. Or
Tywin Lannister is probably the series' best villain because you just love him so much because he's so cold and calculated, but he's also such a freaking prick. And so are like so many of the Game of Thrones characters. Anyway, but yeah, the one Game of Thrones character I wish I got more of
What?
was the guy who trained Arya in the first season.
Oh yeah, he was great. Did he die? He died.
He died.
Right?
He died defending Arya, and I loved him so much because he was like one of the very few honorable characters in the first season. But as Game of Thrones shows you, if you're an honorable character, you get killed. Like honor does not mean anything in Game of Thrones. Like if you have honor, you need to be smart. You need to know how to work the system, or you're gonna freaking die.
That's like the shirt I have. Speaking of Darth Revan, I have a Darth Revan shirt that says "Honor is no use to those who are honor is
Who are dead?
Yeah, who are dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Honor is that's what it is. Honor is a fool's prize.
What the frick were we talking about?
So we were talking. So there's a new movie coming out, and
Star Wars.
Yeah, and so you were mentioning to me, I don't know, a little while ago. I think we were talking on the phone. You said that is it weird that you're not even excited? Like if it got dropped tomorrow, you probably wouldn't be like first to go see it.
No, there's not a real excitement for me for Star Wars anymore. I think that's kind of a shared feeling with the Star Wars community. I don't have that initial excitement I had for any new Star Wars material. I remember when Force Awakens came out, and we were like, we're going to get new Star Wars content. Holy crap.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and to be honest with you, like I loved it, and I still like watch it from time to time. I think Force Awakens is a good movie. I think it's
for a
way
reboot.
It's weighed down by the context of the other ones, but I think in and of itself, it's a fun movie to watch.
I have two passions in life, right? Other than the Lord and my family and all that. Mm-hmm. And, and it was Star Wars and it's the Raiders football.
Yeah.
Right. And I like my college team, USC. So, but I'm a fanatic. Anyone that knows me knows that Tim loves the Raiders.
Yeah.
Tim loves Star Wars, right? Over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course they make fun of me and stuff, but that's okay. So every year, right? Mm-hmm. Football season comes up, the Raiders, all the teams make moves, get new players, get maybe a new coach or, new something. And you're like thinking, this is our year, mm-hmm. right? Like this is our year. Raiders are going to do it. We're going deep in the playoffs. We're going to, go to the Super Bowl. This is our year. We're going to just kick ass, this and that.
Sound like a Cowboys fan.
Same thing. By week 5 or 6, my body has a defense mechanism that shuts down. Where I watch the games, but it's like I have to emotionally distance myself or I get really upset. Mm-hmm. And my wife even feels it. And like my dogs used to get real tense because they could feel me getting mad and yelling. So now I have to sit there and almost kind of make myself laugh when I see the Raiders do something really boneheaded or stupid or like that. So I'm like, oh, well, at least I still got this or, but every year it'll happen, right? And then by week 4 or 5, I have to kick in that defense mechanism. Yeah. So Star Wars has been like that with me. The difference with Star Wars versus that is that there was, the Force Awakens came out, and I'm like, okay, I got excited for it, because it was a little copycat, but I can oversee that because they're going to hit me with episode 2 and 3. I mean, episode 8, 9, and it's going to be fantastic. And although at first I did like 8, and there's certain things I do like of 8, it just started really that. And then when I started hearing that, being let down by a lot of stuff, The reason why I can't get myself to be optimistic anymore is I've been burned too many times. Also, where Raiders, at least they make moves and maybe fire a coach or something. You think this coach coming, so it'd be like them firing Kathleen Kennedy and they bring someone else in, and then you're like, oh, now it's going to turn the leaf. When then the person they keep firing, is the same crap. So unfortunately, Star Wars still has the same leader. They have the same coach, which is Kathleen Kennedy, and occasionally they'll win a game because they have a good offensive coordinator named
Dave Filoni
and John Favreau. I'm doing Star Wars. I'm doing football star now.
That's a good analogy. You really thought about this.
Yeah, and so you're like, okay, the Raiders won that because the offense was just clicking that day, right? Despite the sucky head coach, they just were so there's a win there, right? So I feel like that's what Star Wars is. That every now and then it does hit me with something like the Mandalorian and that, but I have no faith in the movies unless it's Filoni. When Patty Jenkins was announced and they did a little segment of hers saying she's doing Rogue One, I had zero excitement of that. I was like, nope.
And even that's been put on hold.
Well, that's been scrapped, supposedly.
100%. It's definitely that, for sure. It's definitely the amount of times we've been disappointed by Star Wars, and it's been evident the Star Wars community is definitely split into two, and I would say it's even more negative now than it was before. I also think it's just because of the quantity. Because we've had 3 movies, we've had several TV shows, we've had the continuation of Clone Wars, and we've had a spin-off series of Clone Wars. And I just think it's just too much. And that's not even like counting on the video games, all the other side crap that no one gives a crap about anymore, the comics. It's been too Marvelized at this point. It's the same thing as Marvel.
Yeah, but Marvel had a plan. They did
have a plan, but again, that's what Disney is trying to somewhat replicate, is the experience of Marvel. They're doing the same things that Marvel are. In their big conventions, they're introducing their movie slates they would in Marvel. They're trying to do the same thing as Marvel.
But Kevin Feige came in Marvel and said, this is our 10-year plan. We're releasing this, and that. This is where it's going. Ultimately, Thanos.
Exactly.
You can do this and that, to the different directors. Okay, you directing Hulk, you can do this and that, but you have this perimeter.
Exactly.
And this is where you need to take it because this is where we're going.
And look what happened with 3 movies. We couldn't even get 3 movies down. And it's been even confirmed. There's a video out now by Star Wars Theory that really just confirms how rushed everything felt at that time, because they really wanted to get those very clear deadlines and those we need to get butts in seats. That was their biggest focus, not necessarily the story, but the butts in the seats thing, because we need to make an event. And that's what Star Wars is. To be 100% clear, it's an event. We want to go see these big event movies like Dune or freaking like these huge movies, but we don't really get that. Star Wars didn't feel like an event by the time Rise of Skywalker came around. It felt like another installment. And again, that's why everyone was so freaking excited with when Phantom Menace came out. We haven't gotten a Star Wars movie in years. We're so excited for this huge movie event. It's going to change our lives. Same thing with Force Awakens. We're so excited for this. But as the movies went on, didn't really change about that. Now, granted, I feel like it was a bit different when the prequels came around because the society was a bit different and we didn't have the Marvel factor. And I think that Revenge of the Sith came out, people were still around that hype train. But when Rise of Skywalker came out, culturally we changed. We're in the Marvel sphere now, and now it's just content, and now it just felt stale.
But the prequels still feel like Star Wars, and it still flowed the 3 movies.
There
was still a plan from the very beginning. He might have added a few things, Yeah. I'm not a big General Grievous fan, but it's not a terrible.
I actually love General Grievous. I so love him.
I probably don't care for it because he just pops up in Part 3, and if you didn't watch some of the Clone Wars cartoons. If you're just watching episode 2 to 3, it's like, where did this dude come from? Do you know what I mean? Like, I probably would have been
beautiful mind of George Lucas, who almost made him look like a freaking toilet seat and a child sitting on it.
So the thing that's about Star Wars movies, though, I feel that's different than Marvel.
Yeah,
is I believe Marvel fans are a little more forgiving. Like, if there's a bad film, meaning you can come out with Thor, the last one, right? Love and Thunder, terrible movie, right?
Yeah.
But the fans see it. They're like, oh, this kind of sucks. This sucks, or some like it. And they're like, oh, that's fine. We'll just move on. I'll wait for Thor to come in, Avengers 5, whatever's coming out next. Or, I still like the other ones, and that's fine. It's a loss, but, we're getting all these other ones.
Yeah.
You can't do that with Star Wars.
No, it's not the same thing.
You cannot hit and miss with Star Wars, or fans will go nuts. It's
But you also shouldn't treat it like Marvel, because those are two different properties.
that's what I'm saying.
And if anything, like Star Wars really starts and begins with the Skywalkers. There's a lot of people out there that get too much into like the meaning of Star Wars. Like, Star Wars is about capitalism and it's about revolution. Like, no, it's not. It's about the Skywalkers. Get out of my face. It's about the Skywalkers. It starts and begins there. Now you can go beyond that and tell other stories. The Clone Wars proves that. I'm not saying you can't tell other stories, but I am saying that the heart and soul of Star Wars is the Skywalkers. And that's what we came back to the theaters to see. That's why the prequel trilogy exists, to show more of Anakin. That's why the original trilogy exists, to show the evolution of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. And freaking, that's why all the freaking sequel trilogy could not get away from the Skywalker name, but for some reason decided to butcher it along the way.
Yeah. Oh, well, we could go on forever on this one.
And Marvel doesn't have that. Marvel doesn't have like that technical central character. Marvel's not about Iron Man. Marvel's not about Captain America. Marvel is about the expanding universe. Now, those two characters are definitely like a big part of it, but they're not about that.
But you knew from the very beginning where it was going.
For sure.
The Avengers.
Yes.
And then you had it all tie in. I mean, you had Iron Man 1 tying into way later on because, it was just genius the way he did it.
Yeah, it was. For sure.
Now, Dave Filoni from the very beginning, and it's not like Dave Filoni hasn't had a miss. I mean, Book of Boba Fett I thought was terrible.
And Bad Batch.
Yeah, I never really fully watched that because I couldn't.
It's not great.
Yeah.
It's not good.
But that's okay, though, because I think that to be honest with you, I think that Book of Boba Fett would have never happened I think some of these things would have never happened if they would have had a plan from Marvel for the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it would have been 7, 8, 9, and then I think you would have gotten, I don't think Rogue One would either. I don't think Dave Filoni would have said any of that either. Mm-hmm. I think he would have fast forwarded or went backwards
and he went.
I think he would have fast forwarded to Ahsoka and them right away.
And maybe there's some projects that he wanted to do personally that he really couldn't because he had to focus on this project because Lucasfilm says you have to focus on this now. Like, okay, I'll direct some of my effort towards this, but then I'm going to focus on the stuff I really want to do, which is like the Ahsoka series or maybe Tales of the Jedi. Like, that's the stuff I really want to do. Maybe that's why that stuff turned out to be so good, and this other stuff is like passable. Like, you can watch Bad Batch for sure, but it's not the greatest thing in the world, and if you miss it, you're not missing anything. You really aren't. You don't have to watch any of that.
Mandalorian could have been a trilogy, and could have been brought in Baby Yoda.
It's funny because I think the stuff we've seen from Mandalorian Season 3 so far, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think this is the most interesting story-wise that could be grabbed from the story of The Mandalorian. Like, we're getting involved in, like, some serious Mandalorian lore now. Like, we're on Mandalore. We're seeing, like, a destroyed Mandalore, the aftermath of Mandalore, and we're going to potentially get, like, a Battle for the Crown with Sabine and freaking The Mandalorian. Like, that looks interesting.
You probably saw it, too, because you were talking about the video. I believe it was Star Wars Theory saying in his latest video that the people that he's talked to who have worked on Mandalorian Season 3...
Sorry, keep talking.
Is it working? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
So I heard that, Star Wars Theory said that the people that he's talked to that have worked on Mandalorian 3 and who have seen it, or different people have seen, like, the shooting and the episodes, say this is the best one yet of all the seasons. I
would believe that because I think the only thing that I really did not get into in the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian was the story. We didn't watch Mandalorian for the story. We watched it for the episodic, like, what's Mandalorian going to do next? Like, there was no follow through in the story. There barely is a story at all.
It told you enough of his backstory of why he does what he does.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. Do you think George Lucas, that was his plan all along, to make it where Mandalorian can't? There's a clan out there that can't, the Night Watch, whatever they're called, that they can't take off their helmet. Do you think that's something Filoni made up for them, or do you think that that's always been?
No, I think that's a Filoni thing. I don't really think that's a George Lucas thing. No, I give George Lucas a lot of credit for, like, building these worlds and creating a crap ton of detail into these worlds. It's one of the things that I really like about Andor. There's a lot of detail in Andor and the world creation, and that's what I really respect, because if you watch the prequels, there's so much detail added into every single world. You think about Mustafar for a second, like, and That could have just been like a building on lava, but he added like workers in the background and like entire structures and materials.
yeah.
Like that's a lot of imagination and that's a lot of detail into this world. And I give George Lucas credit for that, but I think continuing on, there are some things that were added onto it by Dave Filoni, by other people who are helping George Lucas.
Oh, yeah.
That really improved the world. And I think that might have been a Dave Filoni thing that he added, like they can't take off their helmets.
Yeah, which is just a small old school clan or something like that. Because remember, Bo-Katan kind of references like, oh, you're part of, what do they call them?
Your old cult or something.
Yeah, in that. So I think that's pretty interesting. Because he's got that dark saber. It's going to be interesting. Do you think we'll see a Jedi show up in it? I don't see Luke showing up.
I don't know who's going to show up in it, if so. I don't know who would show up. Because Ezra is probably going to show up in Ahsoka, but that's going to be their own thing. So
I'm thinking Ahsoka could.
I mean, it's possible, but I think she's going to be busy in her own story, in her own series, so I don't think we're going to get a lot of her.
Yeah, I don't see much.
I don't really see much. I mean, the thing I'm interested in, again, the story element that seems to be the most interesting is Bo-Katan versus the Mandalorian, because there has to be that little face-off right there.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, what if they show a flashback? Because even in The Mandalorian, they talk about it. The old, remember there was an old war between the Jedi and
the Mandalorian, yeah.
That would be a cool flashback to see the old Republic. Man,
forget the flashbacks. Just show us that crap. I hate when people when we just see like here's the flashback. Like I don't give a crap. Just talk about it, because if I see images about that, like you're just teasing me. Like just talk about it. Don't show me it. And if you want to do a whole series about that, that seems to be like it's kind of like the old Republic for all the fans. Like all Lucasfilm when they have a new thing come out, all the fans are like, when are they going to make an old Republic show? When are they going to make an old Republic show? But they make something like the Book of Boba Fett or the Bad Batch, which is not nearly as interesting. Kind of the same thing with the War of Mandalore and versus the Jedi. That seems like a great like Lord of the Rings style epic show, but instead we're getting freaking the Bad Batch and Andor. Again, I like Andor, don't like Bad Batch, but have you seen that? Little meme online where he said these things should be canceled? Pool because it has the white ball. Get rid of all the other color balls, including the black ball, and that supports white supremacy.
Yeah, that's from the movie Boomerang. Did you ever see Boomerang with Eddie Murphy? They're playing pool, and Martin Lawrence says that. He goes, the white ball ends with knocking the black ball off.
It's racist.
And he's like, because it's the fear of white men's black balls. And then Eddie Murphy's like, oh, I get it. He goes in like the pool table's green and eventually like the earth, and and he's messing with Martin Lawrence, and he's like, it's like, yes, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. This pool is the ultimate white man's oppression.
Yeah. We went way off topic.
We ended on that. We started talking about Star Wars and ended up with Pool is racist.
Yeah, Pool is racist.
Pool is racist. Remember that. It's brought to you from GoodNight Take One. Pool is racist. Tim, thanks for coming on.
Anytime.
Appreciate you coming on, talking about Star Wars garbage with me. Thanks, Steve, for existing in the same space as me. I need protection. Yeah, and this is not brought to you by Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, don't sue me. I don't want to get something in the mail that... Yeah. Anyway, Ernesto, my dude, roll those credits.